Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and get started now. So I'm going to be moderating tonight. My name is Brian Cervantes with the Engineering Division. We'll go ahead and start off with introductions of the committee members.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmad Ansari, and I'm representing the engineering for the city.
My name is Maria Fraser, and I'm also representing the city engineer.
My name is Robert. I work for the city representing the engineering division.
My name is Joanne Burns. I'm the Deputy Community Development Director. I'm representing the Community Development Department.
Corporal Adam Seichner, I'm with the PD Traffic Bureau.
Brian Kearns, West Covina PD, Motor Officer.
And Jana Robbins with Traffic Division. I'll be presenting the power play.
Perfect. So we'll be following our regular protocols for the meeting. So just to give you guys an insight on the meeting, first there will be a short presentation by our traffic engineering team on the data collections and findings from the engineering traffic signal warrant study. And then after the technical presentation, any members from the audience wishing to make a comment or that has a question, just fill out a speaker card. They're available at the front. Just go ahead and give them back to that table, and then we're going to go in the order in which we receive them. We ask that audience members respect the 3-minute time limit so that all members have an opportunity to express their opinions. And in addition, all residents in attendance will be given a comment card where you can write your comments to City Council on the intersection of Citrus Street and Cameron Avenue. And each of those comment cards that we receive are going to be attached to the final staff report, which is given to City Council. So that'll be a direct way to give your comments to City Council. And then audience members are encouraged to fill out and turn in a comment card at the end of the meeting. And you can turn in again at that front table. And so once the public comments are heard, the public portion of the meeting will be ended, and there will be comments and questions from the traffic committee members. Once all comments and or questions from the committee members are addressed, a vote will then take place by the traffic committee on whether to recommend installation of a traffic signal or no traffic signal to the city council. And as a reminder, the City of West Covina Traffic Committee is an advisory committee which provides to council advice or recommendations on any traffic measures or improvements in the city. City Council makes all final decisions after taking into consideration the technical reports, findings, and recommendations from the Traffic Committee. And this item is projected to go council on August 20th of 2024. So on to our next item, the Traffic Committee items. Oh, on the next slide, sorry. Perfect. So the Traffic Committee items taken to the previous Traffic Committee meeting was the traffic review of 1227 South Orange Avenue, the traffic review of Merced Avenue and Glen Allen Avenue and Hollenbeck Avenue, and the City of Covina traffic review of the all-way stop at Workman Avenue and 2nd Avenue that the City of Covina is implementing. So now we can go ahead and hop on to our new item, which is our one item of the evening, and I'll turn it over to Jana Robbins with our traffic engineering team to give a presentation.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, welcome everyone. I know for some of you, you've been with us the whole ride. It's kind of been from 2019 all the way to present. So this time we're just going to be concentrating on the intersection of Citrus and Cameron. So our report is basically outlining the existing conditions and analysis that we have done, excluding signal warrants, for this intersection. So next slide, please. So as you know, this is our existing conditions. It shows now what's there now. So we have the flashing stop signs, the advanced warning signs, legends, and then we have variable speed signs were installed in 2021, 22 at the recommendation of the first part of this study. So I wanted to outline that part of our engineering assessment includes a review of existing conditions, which is what we have here, surrounding land use, ADT, intersection TMC, collision data, intersection operations, signal warrants from the California MUTCP section 4C. So next. So as most of you know, Cameron Avenue is the east-west street, and it's considered a minor arterial road. It has a posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour. Citrus Street is also a minor arterial road, and also has a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour. And to note, we have South Hills High School is about 1,200 feet to the east of the intersection. And it has 1,600 students at that high school. Next. Now, we just have a small clip of a drone flying over the intersection. It's just 1 minute. So, north is to the top. It just shows buses and cars as they're waiting at the intersection.
Does that say what time of day that was taken?
This is in the evening. The full drone was between 5 and 5:20, but we only took a minute out of there because no one wants to watch 20 minutes of drone photo. Yeah. The bus.
Is it a bus?
I thought the same thing. Yeah, it's a bus.
Foothill Train.
So as you know, there are buses that come through this intersection. There's a bus stop on the northeast corner and I believe on the southwest corner. Next slide, please. So as part of our analysis, when we look at an intersection, we look at ADT, which is the average daily traffic, which is the approach volume that we look at to consider for warrants. But in this case, we took ADTs in January, so that's kind of not new. You guys have all seen that, but we did take more ADT count for all the approach legs of the intersection in May 29th, 2024, for comparison to see what the volume is now, because our first run around, we went through the warrants in January. Now we're looking at May. As you can see, the numbers are increasing between 5 and 15%. Next slide. Then we also took new intersection counts. We take intersection counts so that we know how many people are turning left, right, through. Tube counts, the ADT doesn't pick that up, it's the intersection count. So what we do is we look at the peak hours. What is considered a peak hour is the commute times. The AM between 7 to 9 a.m. The afternoon, we try to go when school is out, so we can catch the regular people on the street as well as students coming, parents coming, students leaving. So that's in the afternoon. And then in the evening is 4 to 6, or sometimes we do 5 to 7, depends on the freeway. So as you can see in this diagram, we look at the highest 1 hour within each of those periods to get what the intersections are looking like. So the AM peak, as you know, the eastbound, westbound traffic is the heaviest on Cameron. You know, you have in the high 300s to 400s going through the intersection. And then to note, you have a heavy left turn eastbound. You have in the evening, you have 144 vehicles making a left turn. At the same time, you have 383 vehicles going through the intersection, and then the opposite on each of the legs, you can see. We did at the same time a pedestrian count, but in this case, they weren't significant. We had about 18 pedestrians crossed during the time that school got out, and they were in the east leg. So the other legs were a little bit less. And so that was the heaviest, was in the afternoon. We are aware that sometimes in the evening hours, or some that we didn't catch because they could go at different times, that some of the sports teams do their run lap down Cameron and they go down Cortez and that, so they may be using this intersection as well. But this is just our one day, you know, this is what happened on that day. We compared those to, these are the January counts. So, we wanted to also, in January, we did a different count, so, just to compare. And you can see the through traffic on Cameron is getting heavier during the peak commute hours. Now, then we also look, which is very important, is collision data. So what is to note is that in 2022 or 2021, the flashing stop signs were installed. But as you can see by the table, hopefully you've got your handout because it's very small on the screen, that there was one collision in 2024, which was a side swipe, and then there was 5 collisions in 2023. So we had 4 broadside and 1 rear end. In 2022, we had 3 collisions, and 2021, we had 3 collisions. And I believe most of them, when they were broadside, it's kind of a failure to yield the right-of-way to the correct person, because a lot of it was westbound made a left turn, and then they hit an eastbound person, so they just weren't taking their turn. Now, PD will expound on this later at the end, is that they have done some citations. In 2024, they sat out at the intersection between 8 and 10 a.m. and they gave 7 citations within that 2-hour period. And I think there were a variety of reasons, but a lot of them were people were just rolling through the intersection or failure to stop or yield the right of way to the correct person. Also, what we want to note is this intersection is within the top 10 intersections for collisions in the LRSP, which is the Local Road Safety Program. So what it did was study all the intersections in the city and rank them by what their collisions were. And so this was scored was in the top 10 of that intersection. So what we also did when we look to do a thorough exam is we look at level service. I know now that most of you are aware that we don't look at level service when we decide on mitigation for developments, but we still look at it to determine if there's a lot of delay, the queuing, and that stuff on a local level. So we did look at level service, and as you can see in this table, level service is A through F, A being like a perfect conditions, great conditions, and F being failing with a lot of delay, poor progression, long queues. E, it's kind of getting there. And then the delay values on the right are just this, what we use when we do the calculations. Next slide. So first of all, we did a level of service to see how the intersection is operating right now as a all-way stop. So if you see in table 4, the intersection, and it's by movement. So overall, it has an overall level service for the different time periods. It's C for AM, D for afternoon, and PM. Now, if we look at the different approaches, which we kind of know, we saw in the drone also, the eastbound approach, I think, is the most heaviest approach. So it's either people are going to the school or crossing over to go to Grand, it's the eastbound. And you can see it in this analysis. So the eastbound approach is a D in the AM, a D in the afternoon, and then it drops to a level service E in the PM. So E, as we saw in the table before, is it's starting to have long queues, lots of delay. And when we talk about delay, it's how long does it take a vehicle to pull up to the back of the queue and then cross through the intersection. Next slide. So then we looked at different scenarios if the signal is signalized. In this case, we said if it's a signal and we changed the 2 lanes, because every direction has 2 approach lanes. We changed one lane to a a left turn only lane, and then the other lane, the curb lane, would be a shared through and a right turn lane. If that is the case, then the overall level of service would improve to level service B, And then that eastbound approach drops to or improves to a B. The southbound is a B and C's, as you can see. So it has some improvement. Yes,
Can
sir.
we go back to the previous slide? No, no,
That one.
that one.
Always stop, sorry.
Yeah, the current condition. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Did you have a comment on it?
I'm
Okay.
good.
That is the always stop. There we go, I got my things out of order as well. All right, so the next one was the left turn lane with one shared and through right turn lane. And then the final one is a signal with one left turn lane and then one through lane and one shared through and right turn lane. So as you can see in the table, if that's the condition, then it's B all the way around, even all the approaches. Now, to call it out is that if we determine this is the option, then some on-street parking would have to be removed because then the lanes would have to be shifted so that we could fit 2 through lanes going as well as the left turn lane. Next slide. Now here is the traffic signal warrants we look at. So what we look at when we're looking at warrants is we go to California MUTCD Section 4C. It outlines signal warrants, what we look for. So the data we collected, the ADT and the other information is used in these warrants. So we look at 9 different warrants. In this case, some didn't apply and some applied. So when determining if the intersection should be considered for signalization, an engineering study that includes existing traffic conditions, pedestrian conditions, physical characteristics of the location. This is all determined in this. Now, the California MUTCD has the 9 warrants, as I said. The first one is 8-hour vehicle volume. This is usually, it's warrant 1, it's usually the most difficult to meet since it's 8 hours of a given day. The volume on both the major and the minor street exceeds thresholds for the same hours. So the major and minor have to have the same conditions exceed the thresholds. So in this case, when looking at the warrant sheets, I didn't put all that in there. It was too much just raw data, but you're looking at, for this intersection, the lowest time for the approach on the major street was 700 vehicles, and the highest approach on the minor street was 406. So we have a lot of volume that goes through this. Warrant 2 is a 4-hour vehicle volume. It's the same approach, but it has different thresholds. So it has 4 hours of the approach. So we use the highest 4 hours on the ADT of each approach. So you've got the northbound approach, southbound approach, eastbound and westbound. So as long, those 4 hours have to be the same. So you look in the ADT and those are the volumes that we're using. Then we have warrant 3, which is the peak hour, so for locations where traffic is so heavy for that 1 hour. It's mostly used for in front of a development or something, they're all getting out of work at a certain time, and they need a signal. But it's not one that we consider it, but it's not one that we only use when we're looking at warrants overall. Then warrant 4 is the pedestrian volume warrant, and this is where the traffic volume on a major street is so heavy that pedestrians have excessive delay in crossing the major street. Now, this warrant, you need 100 heads pedestrians or more every 4 hours. So it's mainly used when it's right in front of a school. It's in front of a high school, a college, or something that you have over, for 4 hours, for the amount of time, 4 hours, you need over 100 pedestrians every hour. So that one rarely meets the warrants, just because of this situation, yes. Then warrant 5 is the school crossing warrant, where school children grades K through 8 cross the street, and it's mainly used where there's not enough gaps in traffic for them to cross safely. In this case, we have an always stop, so. All right, warrant 6 is a coordinated signal system. It's about platooning, so that one, since we have an always stop, it's not really platooning. Now, warrant 7 is the crash experience. So this one is intended where the severity and frequency of crashes are the principal reason to consider installing a traffic signal. In this case, you need 5 or more collisions in a 12-month period, as well as it has to meet the 8-hour volume warrant that it's met. Roadway network, Cameron and citrus are minor arterials, so they need to be major arterials, so it doesn't apply here. And warrant 9 is near grade crossing, so it did not apply. So if we're looking at table 7 on the slide, you can see that in January, we did the warrants for all 3 different days. We did Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We included Saturday because we wanted to make sure or see if the traffic was so severely less that it wouldn't meet warrants. But looking at January, all 3 days met 1, 2, and 3. It did not, at the time we brought this the first time around, it did not meet the crash experience. So the 5th collision in 2023 was at the end of the year. So now, when we're looking at it now, it meets warrants because there are 5 crashes. And then we have 1 in 2024. So, based on our report, we know that warrant 1, the 8-hour volume warrant was met. Warrant 2, the 4-hour volume warrant was met. Warrant 3, the peak hour volume was met. And then warrant 7, the crash experience was met. So in our opinion, as on the traffic engineering side, we are recommending that a signal at this location be recommended to council. We are, what was that?
Why would 9 meet that qualification unless I'm reading this wrong, and near a grade crossing?
A grade is at a railroad.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not the slope.
Okay.
So in our opinion, signals offer clear direction to drivers when to stop, to yield, turn. They reduce confusion and promote safe driving behavior. They provide the orderly movement of conflicting flow. They allow pedestrians to safely cross because they have their own head signals and movement. And it will reduce the deduction of broadside left turn collisions. We have to remember that the school is 1,200 feet to the east, so that plays into this. For the least impactful part, we are suggesting that the signal be this is the ultimate design. We are suggesting that we do the left turn pocket and then just have 1 lane through and right. So then that would be the least impact to the residents. And then,
What does that mean, the least impact to the residents?
well, that, sorry. By having just 2 lanes, we wouldn't have to remove any parking. So instead of having, if we do this design, it has 3 lanes. There would be a little bit of parking that would have to be removed for the right turn lane.
Little bit meaning how much in depth?
Yeah, I guess I'm
Some of this will have to be determined if council decides to have a signal, then it would go into a design considerations. There are a few issues with the signal that will have to be looked at that point. So we're just looking at if the signal met warrants and what our recommendation is.
What happens
Now,
to the diet?
we would
These
put-
things should be taken care of.
Hi, guys, if you could wait for the public comment, and then we'll be happy to address any questions then. If we could just finish the presentation first, and then any questions then. Thank you.
So I am finished with my presentation, so now we're going to hear your comments, and I think if you have speaker cards, if you can hand them over to here,
Yeah.
and then you'll each come up to the podium, and then we can answer or reply.
Perfect. Jumped a little early. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and list the next speaker as well as the two following. We do have a timer here. Like I said in the beginning, it's going to be 3 minutes. I won't start it till you guys start speaking. Again, any questions we can go ahead and address. So our first speaker is going to be Thomas Chen, followed by Lance Volk, followed by Peter Davis.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to give a little issues about regarding for the traffic light there. Instead of putting traffic light, maybe they put cameras, there may be an option because the people may be more alert about the camera looking at them. They're not going to be running over the stop sign. And if they could have put the traffic light there, because I live on the Surrender Street, the street has a lot of curve. It's really hard to see the visibility of car coming in during the like a school time. It's in the morning and also after school day, the people high speed in my location there. There's a lot of senior people living in that street there now. And I was concerned about, we can't even see the oncoming car coming because the car parking on the side. When they put the traffic light there, people make a shortcut, they're gonna go to Charlene Street, or they're going to Inman Street. So that's why it's gonna create more traffic on the residential people. This is another concern. And also, maybe they could consider about putting another stop sign between the Cameron Street and also Charlene. It's a three-way stop sign. There might be reduce the speed when before they hit the second stop sign. At least they can see ahead of time. And also, I think they should put, if they consider put this traffic light there, they should put the protection light for the left turn, so people will not be waiting for a long time to take a left turn. And secondly, since I live on the Charlene Street, there's so many difficult curves blocking the blind spot. I suggest they put a speed bump there if they plan to put a traffic light there, because the people coming down the street, they're driving 35 miles. I've seen that really crazy. And also, they're making it really difficult for us to make a left turn from Charlene Street, going to left turn to Barinka. So if they put a three-way stop there, it will be really, helps a lot for people to reduce speed. And also, for the post sign between the, between the Barinka and the Citrus, they probably put the speed sign, maybe put 35 miles or 40 miles. Hopefully people will not drive 55, 60 miles. I see people drive so fast right now. Because for 45 people to drive 10 miles above, at least 55 already. So that's why I'm concerned, hopefully. I'm not against for the traffic light, but I think if they put a light there, it's going to affect those driving the street. Neighborhood people have a hard time to do those people not getting shortcuts because they don't want to wait for a long waiting light during the rush hour. Okay, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Lance Volk, followed by Peter Davis, followed by John Shutt.
I'd like to talk about the houses on Cameron that are on the south side of the street. We have no garages. They're in the alley in the back. So if you put any red lines, we can't park. We gotta call Uber to take us home. So, biggest problem on that street, I've been living there a long time. The problem, that street was at one time 40 miles an hour when I first moved in. And then when they raised it to 45, it just became a nightmare. The kids who go to the high school, on the golf, they park on the golf carts outside. I seen them run across. I followed the car yesterday. It came from Grand, through Cameron, hit that intersection at 60 miles an hour. If a kid would try to get through there, you better stop before he gets to the double line. Now, my neighbor in that corner has a handicapped son he has to take care of. He needs to park there alongside the curb. I am handicapped. I need to get to my house, not from down the street, walk all the way up, because the curb's now red. And on the light, I've seen a lot of accidents, a lot. And the problem is that the cars are going too fast. And if you sit on that corner, where I'm at, on that corner right there, making a right turn onto Citrus, there's an alley. If you look, you'll see the alley right there in the back, behind those two houses. He goes, if you're sitting there, make a right turn, and the top cars coming through that corner, make a right turn, they'll hit you. They don't even slow down. And you're gonna put a light there where they have to stop, or they don't have to stop, they can go right on through with the light's green. You're gonna get somebody killed. So, I don't know for sure, but I don't know how the light is stuck up out of Grand at the high school, how that's working for you. I saw a cross about a year ago, a cross in Kansas. Somebody killed bears, somebody was in the face of the kind of class. It's just a bad situation. You gotta lower the speed limit in some way, shape, or form. It was 40 before, it's better than nothing, because I'm only the second house. I'm like about 120 feet from that intersection. And I go out there, I've been over to sweep with the leaves, I'm down there to get my ass taken off. Nobody slows down. Come by there, take a look. Be careful when you get out of your car, because you lose your mirrors too. Thank you.
Perfect. And then we have Peter Davis, followed by John Shutt, followed by Audrey Miller.
I'm going to try and talk a little louder because I couldn't hear many of the speakers. You guys didn't provide microphones. So my back is to the audience. Okay, first of all, I live second house on the southeast corner of the intersection. Coming out of my driveway, anyone coming down Citrus with this doesn't have to stop at the green light, and they don't have time to stop when I'm pulling out of the driveway. So it's a very dangerous situation. The diet plan, which evidently has been forgotten, I don't know where she is, took care of this to some degree. And that was what the city council, at the last meeting we went to, said that we would discuss at this meeting, and it hasn't been brought up.
Right.
So I think this, I noticed the lady who's in charge of this doesn't, oh, you're still here, okay. You're the one who was instructed to bring the diet plan.
No, I was instructed to give council a recommendation on the signal.
After a meeting where more people will be involved, including the diet plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That didn't occur.
The ayes have it.
This, to me, is kind of a waste of time. We're just going over and over the same things we've been doing for 5 years or 6 years. The problem hasn't changed. The solutions haven't changed. It's asking for trouble. We pointed this out time and time again. The things that would work, including the diet plan, have been ignored. I walk every day south on Citrus Avenue from the corner along to the club, and I look at the signs you have on the roads. You have one slow down curve or something, and you can kind of make it out if you go at certain angles between the trees, but the drivers can't see it. This thing has been poorly taken care of all along. The few things they did with the flashing stop signs helped a little. And I'm sorry, but I've watched police cars go through with a rolling stop many times. In fact, most of the time. So this isn't a solution. Thank you.
And we have John Shutt, followed by Audrey Miller, followed by Arlene Shutt.
Hi, my name's John Shutt. I live at actually it's the northwest corner, which is where the bus stop is of Cameron and Citrus. If you look at the slide where the corner properties are blacked out, you can see 2 cars in a driveway, which are my 2 cars. And I would challenge any of you to back out of that driveway into traffic. And a signal is going to make that twice as bad, because 50% of the time the signal is going to be green, not red, green. So people can roll through there unimpeded, going straight and turning right. And then when it turns red, they still don't have to stop. You know why they don't have to stop? Because they don't have to stop now. System produces what the system produces. And if we do what we've done all along in West Covina and add a light to that, nothing's going to change. People don't have to stop for the light the same reason they don't have to stop for the stop sign. I heard the 2 hours in the last several months that there's been enforcement focused on that intersection's stop signs. At least that's what was said during the presentation that I've seen for the 50th time. The other thing is, all of us feel that we've been treated deceptively by all of you. And I'm going to tell you straight, every time you have one of these meetings, there's more people, not less. And our feeling is that if we really gave you all of our arguments up here, all you would do is prepare the councilmen that are for the signal to be prepared for those arguments so they could better present their position. So most of us don't even want to talk about anything. The fact of the matter is that this is not an honest exchange of information. And really, I don't want to. I'm here because my wife wants me to come here. You know why I don't want to come? I don't want to come because I'm going to hear the same crap I heard last time, only 10 minutes longer, and then you're going to cut me down from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And that's ridiculous. It's not due process. It's not democracy. It's not how cities are supposed to be run. And no offense, officers, but if you don't enforce the new stop light, nothing's going to be any different than it is now, and there's going to be as many collisions, only they're going to be significantly worse. Because someone's going to blow through on a stale yellow at 55 or 60 miles an hour and hit somebody doing the right thing on the other side that's obeying the law.
Or a child.
Or a child.
Amen.
High school kids.
Yes.
Joggers.
And bottom line is, the money has been approved for the signal and you want to spend it. Thank you.
Good.
Audrey Miller, followed by Arlene Shutt, followed by, oh, sorry, this one's blank, I'm not sure, so I'm gonna skip that one, followed by Dan Miller. Go ahead.
Well, I'm of the opposite opinion. I think the signal is a good idea.
I can't hear you.
I said I'm of the opposite opinion. I think the signal is a good idea. You've done all the studies for 5 years now. The results have always pretty much come out the same. It's warranted. It's justified. A traffic signal will regulate the traffic flow. People will be stopping, more and more cars will be stopping in one direction or the other, and then the other traffic can go through, and then the signal will change, and then the other traffic can go through. It should help to curb some of the people cutting down side streets and whatnot, because they know that when the light turns green, it's their turn. They're going to get a turn, and it's going to happen faster probably than it is now with a stop sign in place. So we are in favor of it. Our neighbors are in favor of it. We have 7 children that live on our street alone. We are only a 4-house cul-de-sac. So there's a lot of kids in the area. You know, it's met all the warrants. Like the gentleman before said, it's been going on for 5 years. I think the facts are there. It's justified. I don't understand why everyone is so upset, except that they might lose some parking. I think also the gentleman that talked about having trouble backing out of his driveway, I understand that. But again, I think a signal will actually help. If all the cars are stopped coming in his direction, except the ones making a right-hand turn. He should have plenty of time to get across, just like we do now with the stop sign. You have to wait a little while for, you know, the traffic to get regulated in both directions, but then you're able to pull out. It takes a while, but I think a signal will improve that instead of make it worse. And I think it's a matter of public safety for the community to have a signal. I think it will improve that intersection. Just to add a little levity, my husband told me a story on the way over here. He works with a young man who said he lived in West Covina, and, oh, where do you live? I live here. And he asked my husband, where do you live? He said, oh, we live, you know, right near Citrus and Cameron. He said, oh, the intersection without the traffic signals, the ones with the stop signs. And that's how he identified that intersection. He knew exactly which intersection that was the only one that doesn't have a signal. And it made me laugh, because he just knew, oh, the one with all the stop signs, you know, so he's aware of it too. And I just want to confirm the crash counts, okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Arlene Shutt, followed by Dan Miller, followed by Christine Volk.
Hi, I'm Arlene, I live on Cameron and Citrus, right in the corner. And I am not for the light, because on the one side of me is all bus, red light, red curve, okay? And I'm right here in the front, so if you put a light, it's gonna be, I won't even have anywhere to park. And I have small little grandkids that come over, and that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is the speed limit is so high, 45, people go by so fast. And if you put a light, it scares me to death that someone is gonna get killed. Right now, there's been little accidents, but no one has had to go to the hospital. I'd rather see that than a major accident. And it just scares me to even, if you put a light, if I walk out there, people are just going too fast. If I'm over by South Hills High School where you put the signal over there, I wait to go left, and people are coming down from Grand so fast. I'm just like praying that they're looking, that they're not gonna run into me while I'm sitting there to make a left. I mean, they're going down there so fast. So I am totally against the light. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So Dan Miller, followed by Christine Volk, followed by Brenda Gomez.
Okay, I'm one of the few that's for the signal. As you know, I've said before, I walk my dogs. And the only time, I actually agree with you, is that the walk up to the country club is a nice walk. It's my favorite walk. But the problem is, I have to cross twice in that intersection to be able to do that walk. So it's actually easier for me to be able to run across Cameron, walk up to Eddy Street, and then run across Citrus. But I'm actually getting tired of doing that. And so for me to be able to feel safe in that intersection only happens 2 times. And that's when a police officer is stopped at the stop sign, or when there's a Foothill transit bus, okay? There's other people that are in favor of this. Our neighbors are in favor of it, and they've emailed Jenna, okay? And she has that, but they have kids. They can't make these meetings. They made the last city council meeting, but it was chaos, and they had to leave. Okay, so the only thing I need to say at this point is, because we never got a notification in 2019, because the notifications only went out 500 feet?
Yeah.
If I'm
Did it get expanded?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, in 2019, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yes, probably.
So our half of the cul-de-sac didn't get it, the other half of the cul-de-sac did. So now we've done this study for at least 3 times. There's about 40,000 cars that use that intersection, and I understand all these residents, I know their concerns, but why do we do a study and then we get recommendations and then we don't follow the recommendations? That doesn't make any sense to me. Either put in the signal or leave the stop sign, but whatever we do, we've already spent the money to find out what we should do. I think now's the time. Let's move forward. We have the money. Let's get it done. I know all these people. They've seen me walk my dog. So I can't do anymore. I know you've seen me. So I'll leave it at that. Let's just get it done.
And Christine Volk, followed by Brenda Gomez, followed by Eddie Gomez.
Good evening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you guys all for honoring it. Thank you all for showing up. Yes, I've been told that I'm a very soft speaker. So hopefully I'm not going to go anywhere near those 3 minutes. But something that I would like to bring up, not necessarily having to do with the traffic, it is related. My concern is the dates that are being utilized for the traffic surveys. We do have 3 dates in January, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, a Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday, as was shared earlier. We do have 1 date in May of 2024, which is a Wednesday, which is a couple days after Memorial Day, so it probably didn't play into it too much. My concern is that we are comparing a Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday, like not long after the kids get back from Christmas breaks, to one middle of the week day during the school year. What I would like to see, or at least put up for consideration, is possibly a quarterly survey. You know, January 1st through March 31st, and then again, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have to explain quarters to you guys. However, with the 3rd quarter, I would love to see a week taken, whether it's like middle of the week would be great, because then we can see actual business traffic as opposed to quote school traffic, and see what an average business week looks like when we're not impacted by the school district, which is obviously a very, very large chunk of that area with all of the elementary schools and the high schools. So just personally, I think that that would be a better representation of what actual traffic flow looks like, pedestrian flow looks like, speed, accidents, and just safety in general. And that's it in a nutshell. So thanks for hearing me out.
Brenda Gomez, followed by Eddie Gomez, followed by, sorry, can't read this, but the last name's Gill, and, okay.
Hi. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Brenda. My husband and I live 3 houses south of the corner, west, thank you. Right on the corner of Magnolia and Cameron. We've been there since 1998. We've seen a lot of changes in traffic since we've been there. Our biggest concern has always been speed. The speed has been a big problem, especially like right after COVID. There has been increased police presence, which I totally appreciate. I was on a walk one time and I saw him stop someone and I went and thanked him. So the speeding has gone down, but it is still there.
Did he give you a ticket?
And motorcycles. No, he didn't give me a ticket. Also, you know, you can always tell when there's something going on the 10 freeway because everybody cuts through and then you end up with a long line in front of our house. As far as I walk every day and I see my neighbor, we disagree and that's okay, but I walk like him. I walk through Cortez Park, I take the crosswalk almost every day in the evening. I feel safe there. I've never been afraid to cross that. What I'm fearing of is a signal because it's gonna make the cars go faster when they have a green light. When that signal went up on Barranca, I don't know if you've noticed, but now people, like, when they have the green light, they just speed right through in front of South Hills. So I'm afraid that's going to happen with us. I feel like there's alternatives we can use. My husband and I have talked about putting speed bumps in, lowering the speed limit if that's possible, I think would be huge. Putting more stop signs along the way, it may create longer traffic lines, but isn't speed and safety the most important thing? And maybe that will detour people from taking the shortcut when the 10 is backed up, through Cameron. I'm totally against the 3-lane choice. I'm totally against that one. So anyways, my husband and I are very invested in this because we live right there. And we just want the street to be safe and the residential community to be preserved. So thank you for your time.
And Eddie Gomez, followed by, sorry, I'm going to point you out, followed by Brian Calderon Tabatabay.
Hi, I'm Eddie Gomez, and like my wife said, I'm at 804 South Magnolia Avenue. When we purchased this home, there was no traffic lights. So our home costs differently. When you put lights on a home close to a neighborhood, like especially on a busy street, already homes close to a busy street, the price value is going to be less, maybe 10 to 20% less than houses go further and further out. So by because it's a busy street right now, because you have stop signs, you have lights to that area. It's telling people this is a very fast, busy area.
Seems to be working.
Those homes' values, has anybody done anything about how it's gonna affect all the homes within, say, half a mile on both sides? Because they will be affected. I know I wouldn't buy a house by a light because I don't look for a house by a busy light. And that's gonna affect my home values. I know it will. Even though if you say it doesn't, I know it will, because we're normal people, and we think differently than the statistics most of the time. And I have a feeling that it will affect a lot of home values, number one. Number two, speed is a very important thing there. And I used to teach traffic school, by the way, those Saturday ones where people used to get traffic tickets and have to spend 8 hours. And I could tell you story after story, but a traffic light will definitely increase probably more accidents. For the fact that when someone's trying to make a green light and they're late to school, I can guarantee they're gonna run through that yellow light, maybe even a red light trying to get to school. So you're gonna see an increase in traffic accidents. You're gonna see an increase in more speed, for sure. And all the people that live by there, like all the people who were saying they're trying to get out of that driveway, is gonna be one nightmare for them. It's not right. As it is right now, where we live on Magnolia, just trying to get out of our street, if it's backed up, it's hard. To me, a lot of this can be simply done. Why not put cameras? This has been said already. I've seen it where it's been talked about. They should put a camera light that gives out the tickets if you're speeding. Because they're doing that on traffic lights. Been doing that forever. Why not put a traffic light and says, you're speeding over 45, you give it 5 miles, let's say, or 40, and then going 55, that should be a ticket. And it's automatic, goes right to their home. I'll bet you they don't speed through that area again if they know they're getting these tickets in the mail. You guys don't have to work hard. My son's LAPD, so I know you guys have busier things and other things that are important. But I really feel that our biggest thing is our value of our homes are going to go down as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm a pedestrian. I walk from and drive through that area daily. I walk and drive. I walked from Hollenbeck all the way to Grand. So District 3 to District 5. When I walk, I sometimes have to go through Hollenbeck and Cameron. I sometimes go through Barranca's signal and Cameron. Where do I feel most safe of those 3 spots? Citrus and Cameron. Why? because I can make eye contact typically with the vehicles that are coming up, and that's something a pedestrian does. They look, they make eye contact, make sure that you stop, and we are safe. I feel most safe there. Hollenbeck is horrible. Barranca has become a very problematic signal, whether you guys know it, you may not, but you guys know it is, and we all know that it is. So I don't feel any safer by the thought of a signal going in there. Do I feel, the study also built a case on the high school students. Most of those kids do not walk through that intersection. Most kids don't. They get in a car and cross the street by the golf course, as someone said earlier, and they take off and go. That isn't a high-traffic child, bring your kid, unless parents are walking with them, and that's very rare. So I will just say, I am not for any change. Let's keep it there. Let's do something that, I mean, I like the digital sign that's a little ways further than the Magnolia Street. There's a little sign that says your digital sign, your speed. Do something, emphasize that. Maybe do it the opposite direction, going westbound on Cameron. But a signal is not necessary. That's a ton of money spent there. We've wasted enough of your time and wasted our time coming here over the years. So please listen to the residents. I hope we built a case enough for you guys to really consider. Studies will be there, but listen to reality. That's, I hope you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Good evening. I had not intended to speak, but there were some things said that were concerning, and so I wanted to make sure that I cleared some things up and then brought up some other issues. At the April council meeting, we were presented with 3 options. 2 of the options had a road diet, and the third, I believe, was this option. Council did give direction to come back to the community because the community had not been presented the road diet option. So when the gentleman said that tonight should have been a presentation that included the road diets and to really speak on that, that was the direction the council gave. I'm also concerned because of the August 20th date that's been given, that this will come in front of the council. As a council member who had been in favor of the 4-way stop with the road diet, I'm concerned because I made clear to the public that I will be in Chicago for the DNC and I will not be at the August 20th council meeting. And this was an area that was not really supposed to be August 20th. I was very surprised that we're having this traffic meeting today and that it's being asked to agendize. I've asked the city manager to push it to the September meeting so I can be included, so that way we can have a thorough discussion. So the fact that it is being talked about being on August 20th is very concerning. As far as public safety, a few things that were brought up. When you remove cars from the street, it makes it more dangerous for pedestrians. We know that parked cars are a barrier that protect pedestrians. I'm also concerned because, as was mentioned, with the traffic lights, I represent District 1. Vincent and Puente is one of the worst intersections we have in the city, where you have long paths with speed. People go through that intersection. There are violent crashes. So we're seeing level 5 crashes that are really just property damage. On Vincent and Puente, we have fatal crashes. We have cars that go into the houses, right? And this is a legitimate concern. All of you know that the thing that creates the most public safety is slowing drivers down. It's why you put the road diet as 2 of our options, because all of you understand that if you slow folks down, you make it safer for the community. So, I'm not sure why this recommendation is here. It's obviously not for public safety. Again, what the rationale is, maybe it's to move people through faster, but it's gonna make us more unsafe, and it's gonna cause people harm. And so I just wanted the public to be aware.
And John Cavan, followed by Mario Salvavaro, and JD will be third.
Could you read the name again?
Yeah, sorry. John Tavon, followed by Mario Salvavaro, followed by JD.
I'm John Tovar, but sorry
Sorry.
about my handwriting. I'm curious, there's a pump on Cameron, I think right about in here somewhere, and there's a dip in the intersection here. I was wondering how that was considered in the traffic survey or traffic study. And I was wondering how much year-to-date, or since the inception of these traffic studies that we've spent on the traffic studies, and to put in a light, how much is it going to cost to put a light in?
Sorry. Are we going to just comments now or late at the end? Comments, just comments now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll use my,
Yeah, go ahead.
Next speaker? Okay. Mario S, followed by JD, followed by Robert T. That'll be a lot easier.
Okay, I've been to a lot of these meetings. Let's start from the top. Number one, Buddy Jimmy Lima pointed out that the South Hill schedule is incorrect. Your end time of 2:37 is incorrect. That's actually should be 3:30 for the end time. So I'm just going to point that out. Have a schedule here for 23-24 bell schedule. You guys need that. To John's point, in studies to date, it costs money. Transtech, you guys are getting paid how many times to just regurgitate almost like the same presentation over and over and over. I mean, it almost seems profitable, just keep this going another 5 more years, but it gets seen that way after a while. To this day, I brought it up probably 3 times now. The gentleman also brought it up now. The geography, the grade. I sell you guys your ACC license. Use your Signal 3D software. Do a section view, or get a video camera on a car, a POV view, and drive 55 miles an hour, passing Montezuma, going up on that grade, hitting that dip to show what that's actually going to be like. You know, show what that, you know, it's not going to be pretty. I'll tell you that. Let's see what we got here. Driven through there during rush hour, come home from Brea, hit that when school lets out, and I'm like, wow, there's actually traffic here. Took about 2 minutes to get through that traffic. You know, let's see, and then traffic light at Barranca gets used sometimes as an example. It's a horrible example because you don't have any residents there. You have a school, you have the golf course, you don't have people pulling out from that area there. Just a really poor example, you know, with regards to comparing that to the area here.
Perfect. And JD, followed by Robert T, and then there was one filled out with no name.
Good evening. My name is Jefferson DeRue. I currently live with Signal Light where I reside on Cameron and Lark Allen, and I can unequivocally tell you that an hour won't pass that I hear somebody putting that pedal to the metal to beat that traffic light. And they already travel in all of those directions at 60 miles an hour. I think that's the average. Traffic light, stop sign, that's really not the issue, because neither one of them is going to solve the concerns that were expressed here tonight. I think that enforcement is where the focus needs to be, and that's why I'm kind of looking over here at you officers. I was interested to hear that there was a study. It was obviously just a snapshot of the reality that these residents live with and myself, but it was just a snapshot. But it's quite telling that that study seems to demonstrate that there was a high number of violations taking place at this intersection. At least that's what I took from it. I want to propose something in the line of this road diet and what Mario just kind of finished talking about, and that is slowing down traffic. Why is it that West Covina isn't considering placing school zones in areas such as this. I know this is a little removed from South Hills, but mine's certainly adjacent to an elementary, a park, and a high school. And even Citrus and Cameron still gets its number of students roaming through there. Why can't there be a school zone created where fines are doubled as they are in Florida? That would be a deterrent. Since we don't have enough officers to be out there 24/7 and catch these violators, why not create a deterrent? We can come up here and bitch all night about how it's going to affect us, and it definitely will, and I empathize with these residents, but you folks need to come up with ideas on how to stem the problem. Let's put more enforcement. Hopefully we can afford it someday in the future, the near future. And in the meantime, why not consider creating a school zone? You come through there at a high rate of speed, you're gonna get the fine. If you get the fine, and I'm hoping they do, it's gonna be double. That will deter people from violating the law. Thank you.
And Robert T., followed by Stephen C.
First, I would like to say I'm in favor of the traffic calming option. I know it's switched now to a signal, but in terms of safety, traffic calming is a lot safer. The collision rates are lower, less severe, speeds are slower, and then they're more pedestrian friendly. So I thought the last time it came before the council and that was on there, that was a great recommendation, and it seems to have switched now. But just to put that on the record, as everyone else said before me that's in favor of it, that's the better option. Secondly, I wanted to speak on the collisions for the warrant. So if you look at the warrant language, I read through the presentation, it says crash experience warrant and is intended for application where the severity and frequency of crashes are the principal reason to consider installing a traffic signal. So the key word there is severity and frequency. And engineering is very purposeful like that. They'll have words like or and to meet these warrants. And so the word and is very important because both criteria need to be met. And it's clear that when you look at the data, the severity is not there. There's no severity, and if it was minor injuries. So, at least from an ethical perspective, recommending this as an engineer is just, it's not appropriate, just because there's warrants in place for that reason. If you want to base it on traffic volume, that's a different story, but looking at the warrants, it's just clearly not warranted. And I also know that there's some issues with speeding. You know, obviously traffic signals don't reduce speed. They're meant for traffic control, not pedestrian safety. That's a big misinterpretation because politically, a lot of political officials think that, well, someone dies, let's put a traffic signal, or someone got hit. But that's just an easy solution, generally a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. So that's why I thought the road dye was a way better long-term solution, save lives, slow traffic down, and make the community safer. And the last thing I'll end on is if there's any sort of recommendation that you were to go back to the council with, it would be that we prefer, or a majority of us prefer, the road dye option, and that it's clear that engineering needs to be looked at again because, at least in my opinion, the warrant isn't meant for traffic accidents. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Stephen C. will be your last speaker.
I just started talking, I was talking, it's already going on. Well, good evening, everybody, and good evening. Good to see all of you. When I first got involved, well, first off, I've been a resident of West Covina for almost 50 years. I've lived in the same house for 40 years on Charlotte Street. And I do understand what goes on in the last April 16th meeting and this past year, we talked about the traffic signal versus the stop sign, the way it stands. My concern with the signal is the thing that's been pointed out, and that's the elevation on going on eastbound traffic on camera. Cataclysmic event. You're gonna have, you can't see, traveling eastbound, you cannot see the intersection over the hump. So going 55 or 60 miles an hour, you're asking for trouble, and it's gonna be somebody's house or somebody's gonna be killed, clearly. But, you know, I've got to talk about the fact that I've been a resident in my location for as long as I have. When I moved in here in West Covina, the speed limit was 35 miles an hour down Cameron. Nothing's changed. Cameron was still two lanes in every direction. Probably not as much traffic, but we still had South Hills High School. We still had Mesa Grammar School. So I think like everybody said here, I think the speed limit needs to be reduced. And I think the traffic diet or traffic calming things that were mentioned at the last meeting, I came here to hear that because my concern stems from that. There are only two streets on the eastbound side of Citrus that have through traffic. One is Charlinda, which is my street, and the other one is Inman and Larkwood, which are shortcuts to Citrus. And both officers know that. You've been down on my property, and I appreciate your service, guys. That's a shortcut. And traffic, I was here to see how the traffic calming was going to increase that traffic down Charlinda and down to Larkwood and Inman streets. So I was going to say, let's look at fixing the whole picture. Keep the stop sign, because it's going to cost a lot of money. It's $700,000 for the signal, and you pointed that out. Probably another $1.5 million for the grades that you're going to have to separate and bring those streets down so that you have a safe environment. Use that for bringing more enforcement on. Or do something to help the other streets around, because quite frankly, these two gentlemen can only do so much with what with their time. And I'd like them to sit in my property, which they have done, and watch cars drive down the street at higher rates of speed. But if you do, even the traffic calming, or the traffic dieting, however you want to call it, if you do something like that, you have to look at those two streets, because otherwise you're affecting 50 residents right away. We're going to have now a lot more traffic coming down the streets, but 2 times a day that it's very active. And that's all I have to say, but thank you very much.
And then that's our last speaker card that was filled out. So now we will go, let me pause this. So now I'm going to go ahead and close the public speaking portion of the meeting and move to the discussion of the committee members. If there's any questions or comments from the committee members.
So PD has done a lot of enforcement in this area, and I personally have sat at that stop sign. It has been more than 2 or 3 hours. It's actually been several hours where I sit there and watch traffic. And I think that video they showed is pretty much what it's like most of the time from when I've been there. I've been there at different hours, morning, evening, afternoon, weekend, weekday. And it's pretty much been pretty consistent. I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on what we've done in enforcement wise. We as PD do agree that speed is a big problem on Cameron. My partner, and my partner in the back, we've all 3 of us have sat on Cameron, and it does get up to the 60s, and it is a big concern for us as well. In terms of the intersection itself, that video is pretty much exactly accurate from what I saw, and the tickets that I wrote personally there were for people rolling the stop sign just like that. Maybe some like registration or some equipment violations and things like that, but there wasn't too much concern in terms of speeding through the intersection itself. The biggest concern for us is Cameron Avenue approaching the intersection. So, did you have anything to elaborate on that?
Thank you for seeing us on Cameron, because I've seen half of you guys walking. So, speed, in our opinion, speed on Cameron has gone down. I used to pull up, and within 10 seconds, first car. Now I sit there for 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, finally got one. You know, so it's definitely slowing down. In the morning, it's people that use Cameron to come down Cameron, go up over Mount Sac, and they go to work somewhere over there. in the afternoons, it seems like it's like kids coming back from they go to Mount Sac, and now they're flying back to go home on their lunch break really fast and just killing it, you know. So, but yeah, overall to me, like, I don't have a problem, like, it's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. I'd rather have cars sitting on the street. Everyone's fine. I'm good with that, you know. So, personally, for me, I don't see a big safety problem in the intersection. We take traffic accidents all the time. I don't really respond there for traffic accidents. I respond to Lark Allen Workman, Vincent Puente, Orange Francisco. There's like several other ones that I just know that, oh, been there, oh, we're going back there, you know, so it's the same. But I don't recall it the last time I've taken an accident at Citrus and County.
And I personally, I do agree that the slope and bump there is a pretty big concern, especially with speeding, because I personally have seen cars lose control going speeds that fast. So I think that is a big concern as well. And then with the suggested plan, one thing my partner and I were talking about is especially if you look at the lanes going westbound, how they have left and right turn only lanes. We think that can also be a concern. Yes, there's signs that say merge ahead, but we already know a lot of people don't look at signs. We think that can be a problem with people trying to merge at the last second as well. So that was our major concerns. I didn't have much else. So.
Is there any other discussion from the committee members?
So I have a question. So this question is for Jana. So one of the public comments mentioned that if there were going to be traffic signals there, that there is a concern that it's always going to be green. So would traffic, I know going home from like a council meeting or a planning commission meeting at night, granted it's not in the same neighborhood. The street that I pass by is pretty similar, and I always hit all the reds. So is there any way that if a signal was going to be placed here in this location, it would be rest on red, so it's always red unless there's somebody waiting there?
Yeah, that was one of our suggestions, is that the signal could be set rest on red. So it's all in the off-peak. So it would always be red until you have the cameras or the loops detects a cue that has gathered, and then it would start the, who gets, eastbound, westbound goes, or we're hoping that if it is a signal, that we would have protected left turn phasing. So that's what we're trying to go with most of the city, all the grants are trying to get protected left turn phasing. So if they decide to put a signal here, we start off with left turn phasing that's protected. So you don't have that right-of-way issue. But yes, in your question, if there is in the design part, in the signal timing, there is rest in red phasing.
Jana, when you say protected left turn, do you mean this configuration?
No, it can be either configuration. We're recommending that this one was the ultimate, but it would be, you have to have a left turn pocket. So if you have an existing left turn pocket, you would have the green arrow. It's the second lane. Right now we have 2 lanes coming in, so for the one that would reduce the need to make the lanes different, we would have 1 left turn lane and 1 shared through and a right lane. So you'd still have 2 lanes. You wouldn't have 3 lanes as shown here, but the left turn would have the green arrow that comes on. So lefts would go together, then they would stop, and then through traffic, and the right would go.
The through traffic has a light too?
Yeah, it's just like the
So
regular.
that doesn't change anything, somebody trying to beat the light.
beat the light.
Yeah.
It turns yellow.
It turns yellow.
Yeah,
It
the
goes
yellow
red.
is
But we don't wanna
guided.
do that, we're gonna try to beat it and kill somebody.
Well, we hope you don't, but, I mean, this is what every intersection is. The yellow is guided by
That's
west.
what we don't want.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why we
actually
don't
our
want it
point,
there.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well
It's actually the
done.
question.
John, what happened to the dial? That's, you never answered that.
I'm gonna talk about that.
Can
Can-
we,
can
public,
something-
the
I'm-
public
I'm
portion is over right now,
Yeah,
sorry,
you-
can we go on to
Give
the,
answers. You guys haven't given us That was our promise that we were gonna talk about that.
sorry, we're going to continue on with the,
I looked up in the committee meeting, or the meeting minutes, I'm positive it's in there, and we will hold every single person accountable.
We were there, we were all there, we heard the same thing. It was not even mentioned about the light, it was about.
It'll be in the minutes.
Ryan, was it not said?
That was what we,
You asked
for, that's why we came
For
back.
another
And
meeting
that's
was
what Janet
canceled.
said
That
we
meeting
were
was
having.
canceled,
Yes.
right?
We're all here for no reason.
Yeah.
so is there
Well, we
any,
did inform you that it was the intersection for tonight. The road diet, we were informed that we need to do more study and look at that, and it will be coming. Those type of traffic calming measures, maybe not road diet, but additional measures.
I
that
guess
we-
what I
Don't take
was-
votes on 820, none of that matters.
Right, my question is, why are we even addressing this then if we haven't explored all of the options? Like this, we're putting the cart before the horse if we haven't, I mean no disrespect, but honestly, you know, our time has been wasted, our energy has been wasted, and you've really offered no answers.
So are you gonna recommend to the city council that they don't vote on 820 because you haven't finished these studies?
Yeah, that's fair.
so is there any more
No,
discussion
let's
for the
get an
committee
answer to that
members?
question. Are you?
The public portion of the meeting's
Yeah, but
over.
you-
There's only one portion of the meeting, it's the public portion. You guys don't matter.
We'll just Jana get her direction.
So I wanted just to speak to one concern that I think it seemed to be.
Before you do that, Joanne, did you finish
Oh,
your
I
question?
was still
Oh,
asking.
okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, so on page 9 of the report, I just wanted to get I just wanted to get clarification on number 6 and also number 2. It looks like it may be the same, or
I'm sorry, Joanne, what was the question?
number 2 and number 6.
I guess we have to look at that and see.
Yeah.
I have to go through the.
I went, well, regardless, it's still the same number, from, as far as warrant number 7, I believe. It's still 5 within a 12-month period, because I did the calculation. It would be from March 3rd, 2023 to March 3rd, I'm sorry, from March 2023 to March 2024, it's still 5. So it still would be the same number as far as the traffic sign warrant number 7. But I just wanted to see if that,
Oh, I see.
if this information. Yeah, okay.
Is that a typo, or what did?
It could be the date, well, I don't know. We have to go through the sweaters reports and see what it was.
Okay.
But the warrant, I did I did read through it, and it does, whether or not that was a typo or should be eliminated, it would still meet the 5 warrants for number 7, because there's still 5 crashes or collisions within the 12-month period.
Number 4 would be dropped out.
Let's see. And as far as comments are concerned, as a member of the traffic committee, I've reviewed all the data presented to us, and I'm ready to make a recommendation to the city council based on this information that was presented to us and based on the item that is in front of us for review. So once Brian goes and, I guess, calls our name to make the recommendation, I'm ready to do so because I was able to review all the information.
Yeah, I think, Joanne, the appropriate way is to discuss,
Mhm.
you know, so that the public and Jana receives all the questions and comments from each one of the voting individuals, and then, you know, whoever wishes to make a motion one way or another, then
Sure.
we can take the vote.
Sure.
So, any other questions for Jana?
No other questions.
Robert?
Nope, no question.
Maria?
I don't have as much as a question, but I know there was a
Louder.
concern with regards to the hump and the sight distance. And I think what we have in front of us, like Joanne said, is the traffic signal itself. However, during the design, all those things get to look at from the engineering standpoint. So we have something that's called sight distance on a vertical curve. So when we look at these traffic signals, we don't just look at the traffic signal itself, we look at approaches, we look at it holistically. So as an engineering fact is that they wouldn't just put the traffic signal and would not look at those. I'm assuming that the dip is because of drainage, so that's something that will probably need to be addressed as part of the traffic signal during the design. What we have in front of us today is basically the facts of whether it warrants a traffic signal or not. However, those other issues you guys have brought up, those would be looked at during the actual design of the traffic signal.
Everything we said, there's no need for design.
You need to mention that the public comment is over.
The public comment portion's over, so we're going to move on with the meeting right now.
2583,
Sorry, what was that?
AB 2583, was that addressed tonight? Did anybody talk about that? Assembly Bill 2583?
It should be on the front of or no, not that one, because I'm aware of that
I
one.
mean, if it wasn't addressed because
It's the-
if once it passes, the school zones are 25 miles an hour for 1,000 feet in every direction. 1,000 feet. That'll take care of the 45 mile an hour speed limit. You've got your calming.
Correct.
Now all you have to do is enforce it.
Correct,
Same
if
thing
that-
the gentleman raised already.
Correct, if that passes, we'll address it then, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and, again, the public comment portion's over, I apologize for that. However, out of respect of everyone's time, if not, it's just going to be a arguing match between everyone. So I'm going to move on with.
Argument match, but you keep saying it's closed, but others keep interjecting, so now it's kind of unfair to just close it out to those that are.
Well, we had the portion where the speaker cards.
No, I got that,
yeah.
and I appreciate that, but I'm saying, it has been a back and forth all along, and you keep repeating yourself that it's closed, it's closed, it's closed.
Yeah,
Either it is or it isn't.
yeah, my view as one of the committee members is that, you know, at the same time that we want to hear each and every person opinion about the traffic signal, whether it goes or it doesn't, we have to keep order. You know, this is a public meeting. You know, if it becomes a town hall or, you know, everybody argues with each other, you know, then I'll be more than happy to, even though, you know, I don't think that there's a chair here, but for me, you know, I'll be more than happy to, if there is any individual in the audience that would like to fill out a slip and has additional comments to come up. You know, we're not trying to quiet anybody down, but, you know, as my colleague mentioned, there is a holistic approach. You know, I'm talking about lane diets, road diets, traffic calming. It could be diverters, it could be medians put in. You know, there is zillions and zillions of traffic calming measures, you know, whether they're less expensive ones, you know, like signage, all the way to raised medians with landscaping, which could be a traffic calming measure, lane diet, road diet, you name it.
Did you see
And it's-
Joanne's willing to go forward with the recommendation based on
if I may,
The road diet
What
was
is his name?
completely ignored. That's For
And
these
you were
residents,
directed
even
by the
myself.
city council to bring it up.
If I may, we need to keep order, you know. If you wish to speak, you know, fill out a slip. Yeah, and, you know, you can do it again, you know, but let me finish my thought, you know. Let's each committee member have an opportunity to discuss, you know, so that we can keep order of the public meeting. So in my view, the traffic calming measures are many. They take care of the corridors, you know, it's not just Citrus and Cameron, it's throughout the city, okay? The purpose of this meeting tonight is to look at the engineering study and the warrant study for the traffic signal, at that particular location, at Citrus and Cameron, and evaluate whether a traffic signal is warranted and how the committee would make that motion and recommendation to the city council. There will be opportunity for all the residents to again be at the city council meeting, express their concerns, you know, after the recommendation is made to the city council. Ultimately, it is up to the city council to approve staff recommendation or not. That's all.
Joanne, so you're ready tonight to make a
No,
recommendation?
no,
based
no,
on what-
sir,
on
sir,
findings
sir,
tonight?
let's,
Absent
sir,
the road
no,
diet?
there is no question and answer here, please. If you need to speak or make a comment to the committee, yeah, but there is no conversation here, you know, we need to allow the committee members to listen to all the comments and make a motion which way they feel the project should move forward.
Yeah, but you heard a council member say that there were instructions to discuss a particular issue related to how folks feel and came here tonight to
Correct.
hear, and that has not been done. Joanne has stated that she's willing, she's
Yeah.
ready to go forward with
Yeah,
the
but-
recommendation, absent the road diet.
Right, but my comment,
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I'm asking you, and I didn't say you said that, but what I heard you say is, you're ready to go forward with the recommendation. And we didn't hear anything about the road diet tonight. I think that's an option 3 that wasn't discussed.
Yeah, but
And
my
that's what I'm
comment,
saying. Why is that
sir,
left out if that was the purpose of this?
sir, my comment is traffic calming measures such as lane diet, such as all of those that I mentioned, are not in addition of an intersection that may or may not meet the warrants. It's together, okay?
So you're against the road diet?
No, I'm not saying, no, not at all, not at all. But the purpose of tonight's meeting is to focus on the intersection traffic warrant for the traffic for the traffic signal. Again, you know, it could be throughout the city that you could implement traffic calming measures. I'm not against road diet or lane diet, personally, okay? So,
We'll open it up to
Go
the
ahead,
public.
go ahead.
So P. Davis?
I would remind you that you cannot legitimately make a recommendation to the city council based on this, because you didn't follow their directions. Their directions were to discuss the road diet, and you haven't. Instead, you just discuss the things that are endangering us. You cannot make that recommendation until you hear the whole thing. You had a meeting scheduled to do this, and you canceled it without reason. I remind you of that. You also, at that meeting, had some documents you said will be available. They weren't, and this one you didn't even offer the documents. So we came in blind, not knowing what you were going to do. We thought you would follow what the city council instructed you to do, and you chose not to.
Next, Robert T.
First of all, I want to thank you before I start my second round to listen to the public and have patience and give us the opportunity to come up again. So that's appreciated for sure. The only thing I wanted to follow up with was, and sometimes it's often when things are brought up, it's hard to keep track of everything. So I was hoping if I could just speak to the warrant again, I know Joanne spoke on it, and if I could get opinions from each of you, or one of you, or any of you, on the claim that I made on warrant 7 for the traffic signal. I made it very clear that the severity wasn't there to meet that warrant. So I want to see what everybody thinks about that and discuss it amongst yourselves. I understand that, one person could be asked and told, and, okay, everyone nods their head, but I don't know, are there any engineers up here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I was hoping to get, like a discussion on it, if possible, and to see if that claim is warranted on my end.
Thank
I
you.
think, like I said, the severity doesn't seem to be there. So I'm wondering, why are we making this recommendation to the city council when it's clear it's not? So I just want to hear the reasoning there. Joanne touched on it, the warrant 7, but she didn't touch on the severity question.
Thank you.
Two things. One, apologize because I was under the impression that you could only speak once, which is customary, at least at the city council. So that's, I just kind of went along with that assumption. And Joanne, I apologize if I misrepresented your position, but I thought I heard you say that based on what was presented tonight, you were ready to make a recommendation to the council. Having sat here tonight and heard that the road diet was not on the agenda, was not open for discussion, basically, then I assumed that you were going to exclude that part of it in your recommendation. So that's the reason I made that comment, okay? Now, my question still stands. Based on tonight's information, are you prepared to make
Sir,
Wait, this is my time, sir.
okay,
Now we got
okay.
Browns Act here.
Okay.
Based on tonight's presentation, are you ready to make a recommendation to the council with absent the, whether it's school zone or road diet measures? Was that your position? Because if so, it seems that those folks that came here tonight to hear the possibilities got shortchanged. That's what we will be walking out here with tonight, the feeling we will be walking out here. And that's tragic, because honestly, we come here not because we're seeing you as a city council, because you're not. We're seeing you as the group that's gonna make a recommendation, and you're gonna field our questions, and you're gonna give us your suggestions, your recommendations, and for us to consider, the pros and the cons and the ups and downs. You kind of just heard our side, and you sliced out one particular piece of it. And that's hard to stomach, that really is. I still stand strong on the idea that deterring the traffic violators, deterrent of traffic violations is probably the best way of going at it. I know we can do it all over the place, but we don't have enough cops to cover all over the place. So then we gotta go to the least expensive one. I guess that may be it. If you can come up with a better one, please share. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mario S.
We got 3 or 5 minutes?
3.
3? Okay, so I'm of the opinion that this public hearing is literally here just to satisfy a condition. I feel that that which has been communicated from the public will not show in any report to the city council. I feel that you guys are gonna do a vote. You've wanted this thing for 5 years. You keep on pushing it, so you're gonna vote with recommendation to do it. And you've had a public hearing, which satisfies, council saying, oh, we want to hear what the public says, which is just a checkbox. It's no description of what we actually said. I would ask the public here to do a public records request on how much the city has spent on all of this. That's what public record requests are for. Let's use that. And also for oral communications at the city council meeting, because those are held prior to the agendas, for us to go and state that we came to a meeting to, say our piece, and and felt it was just a check mark to satisfy a condition of, we're here. That's it, and nothing else. Again, that is my opinion.
And Brian Calderon Tabatabay?
Thank you, and again, I think I just wanted to reiterate a few things. The April 16th meeting is available for everyone to view. It's online, and go to the city website, you can watch the full meeting. You can also print out the agenda and see the staff report of what we as the council were presented. We were presented 3 options. 2 of the options included a road diet, a third did not. The council, when it gave its recommendation, was because the public had not been presented with the road diet. And so I'm not understanding why the decision was made to give a presentation that the public had already gotten tonight. This presentation has been given before, and now we're at a space where what the council was presented and what we asked to hear from the public, because the public hadn't been presented with it, well, why has that not been presented? Why was it separated? And the other, I guess, question is you all are the experts that are on here. Why would you separate the traffic calming measures from what will then take place at that intersection, right? Because it is wholly impactful, right? They all play on each other. Now I guess you're shaking your head no. So then I guess I'd want to understand that. So does slowing people down impact? And then I think what Robert Torres asked on the warrant, again, frequency and severity. Obviously, right, if you're having accidents that are primarily property damage, which this showed, right, what's the weight of accidents that cause major injuries and fatalities? And also accidents that cause damage to the properties around. Again, when I'm talking about Vincent and Puente, you know, that major intersection, and our officer spoke to 3 of the major intersections where we have these violent accidents. There, oftentimes, we've had cars go into those corner homes, right? We've had fatal accidents at those intersections. You have loud booms. You have cars flipped over. I mean, you're talking. I get these photos all the time. I get these videos. West Covina 626 on Instagram will have them on their stories. But this is a reality, and so. Again, I guess I'm also, and it still hasn't really been answered, is what are we trying to achieve with the change that is going to benefit the community versus the cost that we're creating?
And that was our last speaker, the last speaker card I had, so we'll move back to discussion of the committee members.
Maria, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, I actually was a quick.
Let me respond to the crash.
Okay.
The definition of the crash warrant is number of crashes reported within a 12-month period susceptible to correction by a traffic signal and involving injury or damage exceeding the requirements of a reportable crash.
Jana, I have a question. What is the ADT for Cameron once again and Citrus? Did you mention like 11,000? 15,000?
Right there on the, there it is, stop, there it is.
Okay, and there are 2 lanes in each direction. Is it true or not that typically lane diet or road diet would be ideal for the streets that have relatively low ADT and then it underutilized and you know, it becomes a bowling alley. You know, everybody wants to go fast, therefore you come up with traffic calming such as lane diet or road diet or medians or chokers or what have you, you know, reducing 2 lanes to 1 lane because you may only have 4,000 ADT or 5,000 ADT, but the street looks so wide that everybody wants to, treat it as a bowling alley. Is that a true assessment?
Well, this Cameron is on the high end of what's acceptable for a road diet. So if you put in the road diet is something that needs to be further studied, is that you may have longer queues and, because now you're funneling 2 lanes into 1 lane. So if you, I don't want to get in an argument, if you keep it as an always stop and have a road diet, then you're having extremely long queues because everyone has to stop, go, stop, go. I know there's advantages and disadvantages. If you put the road diet with a signal, even if you're rest in red, when it does become green, you can move a larger amount of queue through the intersection. And one other thing is the drainage that Maria brought up, that we did have engineers look at that, and then it would be smoothed out because of the drainage, like the other side, because there is 2 transverse culverts across the street. One is smoothed out, the other one is still a little bit of a gutter.
Swell,
Swell,
yeah.
yes. So that would need to be smoothed out, and the drainage would have to be looked at, that would go down to LA County, down Citrus.
So I guess my question is, this number of ADT compared to a major arterial such as Azusa or the like, which might be in the 20,000 or 30,000 ADT, are these numbers consistent with the local collector that we are talking about, Citrus and Cameron?
Well, Cameron as well as Citrus are minor arterials.
Okay.
Not local collectors.
Okay, collectors.
There's-
Okay,
yeah,
secondary
some are-
arterial,
yeah,
okay.
Arterials.
Okay,
So, and they do have, Cameron has a speed limit of 45. Citrus has 40. There's other issues with lowering the speed limit. You don't get to just put whatever speed limit as a safety zone. There are still rules guided by the CBC. So, I mean, there are ways to go down 10 miles an hour, but you can't just go down from 45 to 25. There
Okay.
are school present 25, school when children are present signs. That's a school zone, and has to be within a certain limit from the school itself.
and is it true or not that a traffic signal or a stop sign is considered a traffic control device? And road diet or chokers or lane diet are considered traffic calming. And even though all contribute to traffic safety, in essence, and design and criteria, they're 2 separate animals.
2 separate things, yes.
2 separate animals. How is Hollenbeck functioning with the existing traffic signal?
We did take a look at that, Hollenbeck at Cameron. And it had in 2023, 3 collisions, in 2022, 4, and 2021, 3. There was a side swipe, a couple of broadsides, and minor injuries and property damage.
There's 1 fatality on that also.
What is the distance between Hollenbeck and Citrus?
I'm not sure on that.
Quarter of a mile approximately?
Probably 1,000 feet or so, 1,500.
And is
something like
that approximately the right spacing between traffic signals? Is it
Yes.
pretty much the same from Hollenbeck
Yeah,
and
you don't want to get them too
Azusa?
close because
Correct.
then there's problem with progression and queues.
And isn't it true that in case of the configuration, that you might have to take parking or, perhaps eliminating the concrete cross gutter there, to eliminate the bump, to a more gentle asphalt swale or underground storm drain so that the rideability is maintained? All of those come into the design?
Yeah, those come into the
Design.
And then you remember that I know a lot of people said line of sight because of the slope, that a traffic signal sits 16 feet above the curb, and you have it on a mast on. So you can see those from a further distance away than one stop sign on a corner.
Okay. Any other discussions? I'm prepared to make a motion. I'll make a motion that the committee accepts staff recommendation to install traffic signal at this location based on the warrant study that was presented tonight.
Is there a second?
We're not individually voting.
I'll go ahead and second. And can I would like to add on to the motion that the public comments that were delivered tonight be noted and attached to the report.
Okay, so I modify the motion to accept staff recommendation based on the warrant study for the traffic signal as a traffic control device at the intersection, and all the comments received tonight be formalized and attached to the staff report to the city council.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
How about us, we live there?
I'll go ahead and adjourn the
We
meeting.
don't count.
Yes,
I'll go ahead and
absolutely.
adjourn the meeting. I was going to mention, as we said before, any comments that you guys leave, we will give directly to council. Another thing is make sure to include your emails on the sign-in. We'll email everyone when it does go council so that you guys can go and speak to the item as well before the city council. And thank you all for your time. Have a great night.